Today on Community Watch, we'll be talking with Tim Harrington. Always a good person to talk to if we might someday have a snow event. You never know. So we'll be talking about emergency management. Stay with us on Community Watch next.
Tim's like,
If you're looking for a new pet that your family will cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome to Community Watch. Lisa Smith.
I am so honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, Greg is involved with a robotics team. They're doing something today. I'm so glad that you could be with us.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciated the early morning text from your wife, and then I got your email, and I'm just honored. Thank you.
Well, I want to think your title is something like CEO of Rome, Georgia.
Oh, yes, that's it. Just don't tell anybody.
I know we have a mayor and then we have a city manager, but really, you're in charge of everything.
No. But I do know something about tourism, and that's actually my title. I'm the tourism director for Rome and Floyd County.
Well, it's always a pleasure to see you. And if I have to get you on TV to do it, then
I know. Again, I'm honored. Thank you for asking me.
And we get to talk to Tim Harrington today.
I know. I'm so excited. I've had a chance to interview him on another little television show that airs on this channel, and he's a wonderful interview.
And he has a lot to deal with.
He does.
And I always feel like when we have him on the show that we just kind of get started when we run out of time. But we had a little snow this weekend.
Just a little.
And so I know we want to talk about that a good bit.
We do.
It turned out to be a little more than we anticipated.
And I think it was a beautiful snow, and I will have to commend our Public Works Department, our EMA, everything, as far as roads, bridges, they were passable.
Yeah.
And they did a great job as always.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick break here and come back with our guest after this. So Tim Harrington's on the way. We'll be right back.
My college offers classes that meet my educational and career goals.
With opportunities outside the classroom.
Where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits toward my bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the University System of Georgia.
My college is affordable.
It's close to home.
My college has online opportunities.
It's where excellence begins.
We are
GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're very happy to have with us again Tim Harrington, Director of Emergency Management.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's always great to have you on the show.
Good to be here.
Let's talk snow.
Sure.
So, we had more than we thought we were going to have.
We had quite a bit more than we were expecting.
So, I'm curious about that process of where the word comes from that we're going to have this amount.
Yes.
And what happened?
Well, the National Weather Service, they have their 3 weather models that they look at. And basically, they're all over the place, and they kind of wait for them to start aligning up. And then they kind of go with the majority. So whatever the majority is lined up, then they figured that's going to be the probable path. But unfortunately, they had an outlier, and that was the one that we actually had to deal with, and they had dismissed that one. And unfortunately,
so there was one.
Yes, there was
that
one
predicted it as it happened.
Yes.
You know, I find it curious because right after Snowpocalypse, everybody was so over predicting everything. And so for this one to kind of slide past us is pretty amazing.
Exactly, because we were told the majority of the week that we were expecting maybe 1 to 3 inches, possibly. And then they said, well, it's going to be south of I-20. So we said, oh, we're in good shape. We may get a light dusting, but that's about it. And that's not what happened. They started shifting on us, and I started calling the National Weather Service, and I said, hey, when's it going to stop? I said, you said 1 to 3 inches, and it is. I said, we're getting hammered up here.
So what was our top depth that was recorded?
It was 7.1 unofficially. I haven't. National Weather Service hadn't really given us an official snow total.
I think we're going to take your official total over there.
Well, at the EMA office, we measured it. I actually had some of my guys go outside with rulers and stick them in the snow, and so we measured it, and we were a little over 5.5 at the office. And then I measured it when I got home, and I was slightly over 6 inches at the house.
Wow!
But somewhere it was 7.1.
Yes.
Well, you know, in snow communication, we round that up to 8. So now 8 inches is what we had.
That's right.
So
you
that's
heard it here
the official.
first. That's right.
But so you go by the Weather Service just like everybody else.
Yes.
But in your position, when it became clear to you that that was not the case, what begins to happen? I mean, because were you prepared regardless, or were there things you had to throw into action when you realized?
Yes. Now, we're having weather briefings all week. They'll send us emails just to kind of tell us where the models are and how close they are to lining up. And Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, we had a weather briefing, and everything. They said we're going by the ones that's lined up, and it looks like 1 to 3 inches. And again, everything's going to be south of I-20. So I said, okay, so like Atlanta's going to get the majority of it. I said, so we had a briefing at the office, and I invited all the public safety, the schools and colleges to come and sit in on the briefing, so that we're all in one room, we're all seeing and hearing the same thing. And then once the briefing's over with, then we start planning at that point what needs to be taking place to be prepared for possible snow. So at that point, we started communicating with Georgia Power just to make sure that we're going to have assets here in the event that it goes left. And we started communicating with City County Public Works, with DOT, just to make sure that they've got the necessary equipment that they need to take care of the roads. We actually used the brine solution this year with the county. The city, they did it last year, and of course DOT, they started doing it after what they call snowpocalypse. They started using the brine treatment to treat the roads and the bridges. So that worked out real well. Also, we had the fire department, they sat in on the briefing, law enforcement, they sat in on it. And we developed a plan as far as what we were going to do in the event we had a significant amount of snow. So once it started, then we were able to make the necessary adjustment. Now with the school board, we were communicating with them through Thursday night going into Friday morning, because they had to make a decision as far as were they going to cancel school or not. And then another issue that we had was we had Rome High. They had a football game. The weather conditions, we weren't really overly concerned about them making the drive to Atlanta. It was after the game was over, with them coming back, trying to make it back to Rome. and they'd have issues on the road. So that was our biggest concern. So we had to start making phone calls to find out, look, what are you guys thinking as far as the weather conditions? Are these guys going to have trouble coming back home? Because we're looking at the weather prediction now and saying the snow, I mean, we were getting the big, fluffy, wet snowflakes falling, and you know, it looks pretty, but it presents a problem because I'm looking at the power lines, and these things are the big fluffy snow is starting to pile up, and then the more weight you get on the lines, then they tend to start dipping down, and then that's when you start having your power outages and things like that. But for the most part, our temperature stayed well above freezing, and I think that helped out a lot. Especially going into Friday night, we thought that we were gonna have some issues because they had predicted another possible 3 inches of snow, and fortunately that didn't happen. So we were able to work our way through it. Now Georgia Power, those guys, they worked tirelessly because I was in constant communication with them to find out about the power outages and where they needed to be. And we did have some nursing homes that had some issues with power outages, so we had to move them up on the priority list. So we had to move a lot of Georgia Power assets around to make sure that they had power, to make sure that their residents were taken care of. And then, of course, we had to take care of our residents to make sure that we were getting the areas and the roadways cleared up as quickly as we could. Public Works Department, they were out with the chainsaws. Also, we had the Floyd County Prison, they were out, and they had inmate details out. They were clearing the roads. And it was just a concerted effort on everybody's part. And, you know, I can't say enough about them. Everybody, we really came together, and that's why I think the impact of the snowstorm was not as significant as it could have been.
I agree with that, definitely.
Have you had a nap yet?
I had a little bit of one. I'm excited about going back home tonight and go to bed because I don't have anything pushing tonight.
You better knock on wood.
Exactly.
Well, I tell you, it was amazing. I've always been impressed with how Georgia Power can rally their support from Pike. Sumter County was here. I saw
Yes.
trucks from Tennessee here. And so they're just a real brotherhood when it comes to going to each other's community and helping out.
Yes, yes, and that's what it takes in order for everything to work out. Because I was in constant communication with our surrounding counties as well. Because Gordon County, Calhoun, their football team, they were headed out. So I was on the phone with their EMA director early that morning, and we were both expressing the same concerns. And then we started calling Atlanta. Talking with the EMA director and the GEMA contact in Atlanta to find out, hey, have they said anything about these games? Are they going to cancel them, or how are we going to do this? We got people going down there, and we're worried about them making it back. And Calhoun, they did a good job. They won, and they actually played the last game, and
There were only 2 games played,
yes,
right?
And then they shut down the venue after that.
Wow.
And they were able to make it back home safely.
Oh,
So,
good.
Rome High is going to have to play, I think, Friday.
Now I know the city schools were going to be closed anyway.
Yes.
But the county schools decided to close. I happened to be on our Cartersville campus that day, and I know that the Bartow County schools, or maybe it was Cartersville or possibly both, had not canceled.
No, they.
But they changed their minds during
Yes.
the day.
And they had a little bit of a scramble, and it kind of reminded me of 2014 when we had that same issue up here, and we were trying to get the kids home. We didn't want them stuck at the schools, and
Right.
that's another problem that I'm happy that we were able to talk it through and decide to go ahead and cancel, because that's an issue that complicates everything when you got those kids at school. You're trying to get those buses off the roads, get those kids home safely, and then you got to contend with the other traffic issues that you're dealing with as well.
Well, we're coming up on a break. We take this brief break, and then we'll be back and talk a lot more with Tim Harrington, so don't go away.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Back to that.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're talking with Tim Harrington, Emergency Management Director, about what kind of weather we're having this winter?
They're predicting that we're going to have a La Nina weather pattern, which is supposed to be a lot warmer temperatures and a lot drier weather as compared to last year where it was a lot wetter. And unfortunately, that kind of lines us up in the summer. We're possibly having possible drought conditions. So,
but this weekend was not indicative of that.
No. No, it was not.
I'm starting to see a pattern. I don't know about you guys. So talk a little bit about preparedness.
Yes.
You know, some of the things that just even because we are just celebrated winter solstice, we're here in the middle of winter. What are some of the things that you can do for your families, for your car, for your home, just basic things, just to kind of be ready for these unpredictable times?
Yes. What we've suggested is that you go ahead and start getting your cars winterized. I know we have a lot of teenage drivers on the road, and they're not sure exactly what winterizing your vehicle entails. So, parents want to get out there with your kids and show them exactly what they need to do to winterize the vehicles, as far as checking your coolant level and getting it tested to make sure that the antifreeze is sufficient to where it's going to be able to withstand extreme temperatures. You want to make sure that you got your oil change. You want to check the vehicle tires and make sure that they're properly inflated. And one thing that I know that a lot of people tend to forget is you need to check that spare tire, because it's been hanging underneath the vehicle or stored in the trunk somewhere. And people don't think about checking it until they have a flat and they have to change it out, and they get ready to put it on there and it's flat too. And that's not a good time to learn that you got issues with your spare tires when you're stuck out on the road. So that's some of the things that we've been looking at as far as getting your vehicles prepared. And of course, keeping at least a half a tank of gas in there. And I know that's hard for the younger drivers. They tend to want to go. But you want to try and keep at least a half a tank in there to keep the fuel lines from freezing up. And one thing that we were working on earlier today is the vehicle preparedness kit. Mm-hmm. So we looked at some different items that you can keep in your vehicle in the event that you do have an emergency and you're stranded on the roadway with your vehicle. Then there's some items that you need to have on hand so you can kind of take care of yourself until you're able to drive home or whatever. But a lot of the things that we looked at were just some of your basic things like ice scraper and de-icer for the windshield, the jumper cables or the jump boxes that they have, your cell phone chargers. Make sure you have a cell phone charger in there, because a lot of times your cell phones go dead and you're not able to to call or get in contact with anyone. So you make sure you have a charger. You want to make sure you have water in there. You want to make sure that you have some food in there, and of course a blanket. You want to make sure that you have that flashlight and things like that, just to make sure that in the event that you do get stranded and you have to leave your vehicle to walk somewhere, you want to make sure that you've got the necessary supplies in your vehicle to allow you to do that, especially the women, because when you get out there walking in snow and ice in heels or whatever, it doesn't take long before you might start showing signs of hypothermia. So you want to make sure you got some some boots or something in your vehicle as well, so you can change into if you have to get out and walk to get help. As far as winterizing your homes, you want to make sure that you seal off possible areas where you may have some drafts coming in. Around doorways, windows, and things like that. One of the things that we noticed with this past storm that we had was a lot of people, they're totally electric. So they had no alternate sources of heat. or excuse me, or things like that. So you want to make sure that you start prepping for the winter time in the summer. So you go ahead and make sure that you get your alternate sources of heat, whether it's you get your gas logs, or you have a fireplace, then you go ahead and start stocking up on wood. So if the electricity goes out, then you're still able to keep your family warm. I know at my house the electricity went out, and we don't have a generator, but we've got gas heat, so we were able to stay warm. And then I was able to break out the camping stove, and I was able to cook. So we had everything that we needed. I mean, we did have some alternate light sources that we could move around the house without tripping over stuff. But other than that, I mean, and then some people they don't think about little things like that. A lot of the light sources that I've got in the house, I've actually got it at the dollar store. And I put Velcro on the back of them, and I've got them stuck up in all the doorways of my house. So when the electricity goes off, I just go through the house and I just turn them on, so we're lit up going through the house. But a lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody's scrambling trying to find that one candle.
Exactly, or trying to find the batteries for the flashlight, or even trying to locate a flashlight. And that's not the time to start having to hunt for stuff. Is when the emergency happens. You need to know where it is beforehand, and then you need to have a plan. You need to practice your plan. Make sure that your family is familiar with the plan. Make sure your family knows where the camping equipment is, so that if the power goes out, then they may have to be the ones to set everything up until you're able to get there. Especially with the first responders, I preach that to those guys all the time. Is that with our jobs, if we have an emergency, we're not going to be there. So your family's going to have to fend for themselves for the most part until you get to a point to where the emergency is over, and then you're able to go home. And a lot of times, you can't. We may not be able to talk to them on the phone to tell them where stuff is. They have to know. So you want to preach that to your family. Make sure that they're aware of what needs to take place, and practice it periodically. I like to call it circuit breaker training. Because if you go and you flip your circuit breakers, you cut the power off, and then see what they'll do. See if they know where stuff is.
Fun times at Tim's house.
All right,
Let's invite our friends over and cut the lights out, see what happens.
That's it.
So there's a constant drilling wherever you are. It's just like we could have an emergency drill at any moment.
That's right. That's right.
All right, generators.
Yes.
I don't know a thing about generators. So, I mean, do I need one?
It's always good to have a secondary source of power.
You have one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I live very, 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 very far out in the county.
And I don't have one, but I will in January.
And who else just purchased a generator after this?
One of our commissioners just actually went out and purchased one over the weekend, Scotty Hancock.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, so we've got generators. So it's always a good thing to have it and not need it, than need it and not have it.
I will tell you and the public, make sure you understand 100%. It's not just something you get and plug up, because you can cause grave trouble to your wiring, to anybody who may be working on a power line down the road, if you don't follow the directions. And especially, it's like anything else, you have to make sure the battery's running too, or otherwise it is of no good to you.
And then you got to have a fuel source for it as well. So like the one that I'm looking at is actually going to be wired into the house, so it'll run off of propane, and it have an automatic test switch on it, so it'll test itself every week.
So these are, I mean, where do you get, I don't even know where you get them. Like at Lowe's or Home Depot?
Lowe's, Home Depot, or
Ace, or...
Well, Ace has got them.
Yeah,
Sure
Tractor Supply,
yes.
Harbor Freight. I mean,
Harbor
there's tons of places.
And there's different sizes. It just depends on your needs. They've got the little small ones that you can buy for probably less than $120, and use those just to keep your power on your refrigerator or your freezer or whatever. Or just plug a lamp into it. It just depends on what you want to do, because the generators, you can go as big as you want, but the issue is going to be is keeping fuel on hand, to keep the generator running.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the issue. We live up on a hill in town. There's a city pump station that pumps the water up to our area. So when the power goes out,
you guys on you guys on the priority list up there. So if that power goes out, then we immediately send Georgia Power up there to get it restored and get that pump going. We have to.
So you get a double whammy: no water and no power.
So we need to keep water around for situations like that. But
yes.
So I can call like Georgia Power and say I'm on the priority list. So
they'll be sure to be right there.
You won't need to do that because the water department will call as soon as that pump stops working, and they'll know, and they'll address it. And then we did have a lot of folks in the community that were calling that were on ventilators and breathing machines, so it did create a problem when they were out of power. So we were trying to move Georgia Power around as quickly as we could to try and get power restored in those areas, so those folks wouldn't have any issues. And fortunately, we haven't had any reports of anyone having any major problems. We did have a nursing home that we got the power restored, and then maybe 30, 40 minutes later, it goes back out. So then we got to reroute Georgia Power back over there to figure out what happened, because we had tree limbs, power lines, they were falling all over the place.
In this day of applications on your phone, where are the best sources that we can direct our public watching today to go to check these things instead of automatically picking up the phone and getting a busy signal?
Well, we have a local cell phone app here in Floyd County. That's the Floyd County EMA app. We're getting ready to relaunch it because we added a couple of new features. We actually added a damage assessment feature on there, and we have the ability to turn it on and off. So like with this snowstorm, we could have turned it on, and if you would have had any damage at your house, you could have just typed it in or took pictures and sent it to us.
Cool.
And we did that because if we have a presidentially declared emergency, then that speeds up the process. So we get those numbers and figures to GMO a lot quicker, and they can speed up the process with the presidential declaration, so we can start getting FEMA assistance if necessary.
Well, we've got to take another quick break. We will be back. Don't go away. We'll be back with you right after this.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking.
Viking. Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown. Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families,
united.
Even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We've been talking with Tim Harrington, who's the Director of Emergency Management, about preparedness. And you were telling us about the apps. So how do people get that if they...
For the Rome Floyd EMA app, you can either go to either the App Store or to Google Play, and you can download it. Simply type in Floyd County EMA, and you download it. It's absolutely free. That's something that we purchased several years ago. We actually, the county actually pays for the fee for the app.
Well, great.
But it's worked out really well for us. We're pleased with it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. See you next time on Community Watch.